served together in Norway and in Afghanistan, and we NATO buddies.
Yeah.
He inspired me several times in the few meetings we had. First time was in Norway when we were preparing to deploy a corps headquarters to Afghanistan, and he was there mentoring us, and invaluable, very useful. And that's where our friendship formed. But I just wish him all the very best. He's been a good friend in the short time he's been here with Pauline and I, and his military service speaks for itself. But he's that rarer breed of officer these days, a man of absolute integrity, and who can't work for somebody like that. So good luck, Arthur.
Almighty God, we thank you for the countless blessings you have showered on our nation and for placing leaders before us. I, for one, am thankful how you have used Colonel Arthur Tulak as an example of balancing life with you, his family, and our nation. Today we thank you for the life and service of Colonel Tulak and his wife Angela. For over 29 years, his family has supported and defended the United States through the work of Colonel Tulak. We thank you for their willingness to share their faith, wisdom, and experience with our nation and to our soldiers who win the assignments. As you know, serving as a soldier is a calling. As Colonel Tulak completes his final assignment, we ask your blessing as they transition from active duty to active retirement from the United States Army. We show them the new career plans you have for them and guide them through this time of change. As we participate in this ceremony, we are again reminded that everything we have is a gift from you. The gifts of church, family, of friends, of loyal service, camaraderie, of hopes, joys, and even those difficult lessons we learn from past hardships are gifts of your grace. And through grace, helps us to remember what theologian Thomas Aquinas once said, that you give us steadfast heart, which no unworthy affection may drag downward. Give us an unconquered heart, which no tribulation can wear out. Give us an upright heart, which no unworthy purpose may tempt aside. We thank you for all the folks who have traveled to Hawaii to witness this great day. Please return everyone home safe and sound, and bless each person with a long, happy, and contented life. And please continue to bless and protect all who are harm's way, those who make sacrifices to serve every day and the United States of America. For we ask this in your great and holy name. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Miss Angela Tulak is now presented a gift in recognition of the preeminent also receiving ladies are Colonel Tulak's mother-in-law, Helga Cross, his brother William, and friends, Sergeant First Class retired Michael and Rosemary Speed.
What a great day, and my great pleasure to have an opportunity to recognize almost 30 years of service in the United States Army in service of our nation. It's really a great honor for me, and I really appreciate it. And I think it's appropriate that we're all here today. You know, we're all one team. We're all in the same foxhole. And we go through hard times, share hard times. No matter what country you're from, we have the same experiences. And it's important that we fight together, we have hard times together. We need to come together at a time like this to recognize excellence. And so today it's very appropriate, and it's great to see so many folks here. I think very, very important. I do want to make some special recognitions here. We have the First Lady. We can't say enough, Angela, to have you here today. We'll talk a little bit more about you in a little bit here. But it's so great having you here, wife of 27 years. We have your mother, Helga, here, also originally from Germany, from Florida. And we're obviously I know how for having his mother on here today is very important to him as well. And then we also have some family friends. You heard about the Sergeant First Class Michael Spee and his bride Rose. What's interesting is they lived at, I guess, at Fort Shafter, but served at Tripler Army Hospital. And he and I had some connections also, I think, in Barstow. Another love, not quite as nice as it is here. But you had a chance to go see the Fort Shafter. I'm sure there's a lot of change and it looks much more modern. Same phone network, I know that's for sure. But it's so great. I know how special it is to have as well. And Colonel Williams served retired British Lieutenant Colonel, served with them before. We're going to talk a little bit about NATO experience. His bride Pauline living here actually on the island. And so what a great coincidence and an opportunity to say hi to you all today. We do have some very special guests. I want to recognize Sir General Han for having you here today from Taiwan. He is one of the deputy commanders for the Political Warfare Bureau, and a true testament today for him to come out to recognize Arthur sends big signal, and we're going to talk about his proficiency and excellence, but this is something that you don't rarely see. So, sir, thank you so much for joining us today. Let's give him a round of applause. And then Brother William, also here, an educator. I know how happy he is to have you here today, a member of his direct family, to recognize this event. So it's a big deal. Arthur decided to serve 29 years ago. So where were you 29 years ago? Think back about what was going on at that time. Remember the Soviet Union and Russia today, but that defined just about everything that was going on. When I got to Germany just a short time before you did, we thought in the 8th Infantry Division we were going to go to blows with the Soviet Union. Remember Reagan calling them the evil empire. In that year, when he first came in, other things that were going on, mostly conflicts in Beirut, all the kidnappings and the bombings that were going on in Beirut. The Israeli-Arab issues were still going, and all kinds of violence associated with that. You had at that time, the Hezbollah was first formed on that day. The PLO seized at Kili Lauro. The Iran-Iraq, before we went to war with Iraq, Iran-Iraq war was going on at that particular time. There was a lot of disasters. We live in the ring of fire here, and we deal with this as military men and women. We deal with this daily. But think about what was going on back then as well. We had 2 earthquakes in Mexico. Those 2 earthquakes almost back to back, a total of 14,000 lives lost. We had a cyclone blow through Bangladesh, 11,000 lives lost. We had air disasters. We're all fixated on CSN on the airplane that's lost, but India lost a flight, 500 lost lives. We also had in that year, remember, we almost lost an entire infantry battalion coming out of the Sinai. They crashed on takeoff out of Gander at that particular time. All of that frames, gives you context when Arthur decided to serve. That call to service for him probably started when he was a student at Fairfax High School, junior ROTC. And he had the opportunity, I will tell you, he came from Hollywood originally. But ran into a sergeant major, and sergeant majors have great ways of doing this kind of thing. Taught him about life in the Army, gave him those leadership skills, those basic leadership skills that defines him to this day. And Sergeant Major Bishop encouraged him to be better, to raise the bar, encouraged him to seek a 4-year degree scholarship and become an officer of the United States Army. So he did that. He went off, he sought after this 4-year scholarship and received one at the University of Southern California. I don't know if that was accredited at the time. But he got it. And that was the beginning. I think as I look at the period, that critical time for him defined him. Sergeant Major Bishop, and then what he learned in the Corps of Cadets. Ultimately, as you would see throughout his career, the achievements, the accomplishments. So today is your last formation. This is the last roll call for you. And I think you are like much of us at this time, and I'll be following you soon. We'll be looking back at our 29, 30 years of service and saying, is the Army better in some way for me having served? And I think I can speak for the large crowd here and the hundreds and thousands of men and women that you had at your side and that you mentored along the way. Absolutely, yes. And for me, it was an honor to stand by your side. Please give a round of applause for this.
So this is a small token of their appreciation signed by the Speaker of the House. And again, we want to wish Angela Tulak Ohana the very best and Godspeed in all your endeavors.
马交将军、朱老登上校、我将军、各位贵宾，大家早安，大家好。 个人很荣幸奉邀到檀香山来参加斯巴特上校的荣典，特别是代表部长严先生、政战局王局长，还有陆军司令部的所有工作伙伴来这边致上最高的谢忱和谢意。
The Legion of Merit is awarded to Colonel Arthur Tulak, United States Army, for exceptionally meritorious service from 1 August 2014 to 31 July 2014. 1 August 2004 to 31 July 2014, while serving in various positions of increasing responsibility, culminating as the Assistant Chief of Staff for Information Operations, Chief 39 Headquarters, United States Army Pacific. Colonel Tulak's distinguished service is characterized by 29 years of professionalism, selfless service, and dedication to the profession of arms. His loyalty and commitment to the nation in times of war and peace have been steadfast, unwavering, and in keeping with our Army's values. Upon retirement, Colonel Tulak's honorable and distinctive contributions to the defense of the nation reflect great credit on him, his command, and the United States Army. Signed, Vincent A. Brooks, General, United States Army Commander. From the Armed Forces of the United States of America, to all who shall see these presents greetings. This is to certify that Colonel Arthur Tulak, having served faithfully and honorably, will be retired from the United States Army on the 31st day of July, 2014. Signed, Raymond T. Orierno, General, U.S. Army Chief of Staff.
Round of applause.
This flag, accompanied by Army Service of Belgium and the Army Retirement of Belgium, are the true emblems of our unity, power, and purpose as a nation. Accepted, protected, and be ever mindful that the young men and women you have trained, led, and inspired throughout your outstanding career will follow in your footsteps and defend this flag with equal pride.
Aloha and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on the historic USS Missouri for today's ceremony. During the lay presentations, you were briefly introduced to my special guests from the mainland who are here with us on this special day, and I'm very happy that they were able to make the long journeys necessary from Tampa, Florida, Monroeville, Indiana, and Houma, Louisiana to be with us here today. Not able to attend today was my mother in Springfield, Missouri, but I know she very much would like to have been here today. And also missing is my father-in-law, Master Sergeant retired U.S. Air Force Charlie Fox, who likewise could not make the trip. Let me say that my family and I are very honored to have such an impressive gathering of general officers, colonels, sergeants major, and other dignitaries in attendance here today. Major General Matthew, sir, thank you for officiating at this ceremony. My family and I are honored that you were here to host this important event, and I very much appreciate the detail and the effort that you put to recount my story of service. And thank you for being the general officer to do that for us today. To Major General Huang Kai-shen, Republic of China Army, sir, thank you for making the long journey here from Taiwan to attend on behalf of the ROC Army and the Ministry of National Defense, political warfare troops, and on behalf of Defense Minister Yen. Your presence here is a demonstration of the enduring friendship between our two armies as partners for a more secure and stable Asia Pacific. It's been my privilege to train alongside officers and NCOs from the Taiwan political warfare troops in the Luwei and Hong Kong exercises and exchanges. I offer my sincere thanks to you, Lieutenant General Wong, Lieutenant General Tseng, Director of MND and Army Political Warfare, for these impressive decorations today. Thank you. General Pascaret, sir, my fellow colonels and I thank you for the leadership that you have shown as the Chief of Staff during a pivotal time in the headquarters as we have adjusted to being a four-star command, undergoing downsizing and the rebalance to the Pacific and staff reorganization. You built a team spirit across a wide and diverse organization, and thank you for attending today's ceremony. Major General Burr, sir, on behalf of the G39 and the PAO, I would like to thank you for your support of the work of the Strategic Communications staff as the General Officer Champion of the Communication Line of Effort in our headquarters, and as the Chair of the Strategic Communications Steering Board, where you provided us sound guidance and steady encouragement to keep moving forward. It was a great experience to be in Australia with the 1st Australian Division to meet you, and then to have you come here as our Deputy Commanding General for Operations. My family and I are very honored that you attended our ceremony here today. To Colonel Retired Ron Hahn, here on behalf of Representative Mark Takai, thank you for coming, and thank you for all the work that you do for Hawaii's veterans, and most recently with a very important work as the leader for the Hawaii Gulf War Memorial Task Force. To our Protocol Office and to the officers and NCOs of G39 Information Operations Division, thank you for your hard work to put this all together over the past few weeks. I'll never forget your dedication, which will be the final imprint of my last few days in the Army. Today we're marking the end of what has been a long journey of service as a commissioned officer in the U.S. Army, a story that's detailed briefly in my sketch over a litany of units, deployments, and assignments. The crests that are on the second page in your program are the course of my infantry career and my first and last units as an information operations officer. Throughout all of that, the one constant element, the essential element of that story has been my lovely wife, Angela, who has been with me for 27 years of active duty after we met on a pleasant summer's day in front of Alpha Company, 2nd Battalion, 87th Infantry. That was certainly a day that changed my life for the better. And I will talk more about Angela's service as an Army wife, but first, allow me to reflect back a little on where this journey started. At significant milestones such as this, it's quite natural to pause and look back on the journey. The occasion of my retirement has prompted me to reflect upon a few questions. Who were my role models? Who influenced me to pursue a military career? I am deeply indebted to the examples of service of my forebears who also served, many during war. Some of their stories are on the back of the program. My father served in both the Army and the Navy, and although he died in 1976, before we could talk about my future career, I think he would have been approved of my decision to join the Army. My grandfather, born in 1894, an officer in World War I, lived to the age of 91 and saw me begin my journey in the military as a junior ROTC cadet. Just days before his death, he sent me a note commending me for having started my path to the military in junior ROTC. And although I can't match his wisdom, he was a strong influence on me during my teenage years, and I have strived mightily since to live up to his example. I'm also deeply indebted to my junior ROTC senior Army instructor, Sergeant Major Donald B. Bishop, who you heard mentioned during Major General Matthews' remarks. He saw something in me that I did not yet see myself and encouraged me to compete for a 4-year scholarship. For me, junior ROTC was a transformational experience, and I'm pleased to have here with me today my fellow companions from the Military Order of Foreign Wars and the Military Order of World Wars, whose volunteer service in support of Hawaii's ROTC and junior ROTC cadets is inspiring future generations of military leaders in all branches of the service. Another strong NCO, Sergeant Major Ray Robinson, my college ROTC Sergeant Major, also left his mark as he molded the cadets in his charge to become effective leaders. Here today is one of my classmates from the Trojan Battalion of the University of Southern California, Lieutenant Colonel retired Russ Redmond, who also remembers the devotion of this great NCO and the lasting impact that he had on our leadership development. Regarding NCOs, I must also acknowledge Command Sergeant Major Frank C. Plass, awarded the CIB with 2 stars for service in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. He is the Honorary Regimental Sergeant Major of the 29th Infantry Regiment. And in that role, he taught me what it means to continue to serve as a volunteer while in retirement and to live out the motto of the Army retiree, still serving, Army retired. I'm therefore very pleased to have had Sergeant Major Ted Hawkins, the G39 Ops Sergeant Major, in my ceremony today to represent all those NCOs who helped to obtain my commission and those who have given me wise counsel since. Sergeant Major Hawkins and I have been twice deployed together in Afghanistan in 2002 and again in 2009. He is about to PCS with his family to Fort Bragg, to the home of psychological operations troops. As you heard in General Matthews' remarks, there are several key leaders who mentored me along the way, and I'd just like to acknowledge a couple on this important occasion. Major General Eric Olson, now retired, was my battalion XO in the 5th Battalion, 8th Infantry. Colonel retired William R. Phillips, commander of the 3rd Battalion, 27th Infantry. Major General Skip Davis, my commander in the 2nd Battalion, 29th, and General retired Carter Ham, the 29th Infantry Regimental Commander. All were exemplary models of what it means to be an Army officer, and I am in debt to their instruction and mentoring. Again, reflecting back on this great journey, I must acknowledge first that it is by God's great help that I am here today, standing on the deck of this great warship after nearly 3 decades of active duty military service. As it was certainly not on the account of my own talents alone, but with the help of God and of others. It was a result of the trust, commitment, loyalty, and hard work of those I was given the honor to lead. And as I look back on the intervening years, it's clear to me that I'm standing here today, retiring after a successful career because of the mentorship of the officers appointed over me, the camaraderie and support of my fellow officers, the common sense of my NCOs, and the can-do mission focus of the soldiers in the many units in which I served. I must also acknowledge the essential efforts and contributions of all of my platoon sergeants, first sergeants, sergeants major, XOs, and second in command in the various units who kept the staff or unit moving forward in accordance with the mission. I will now return my focus, as I conclude my remarks, to the most significant source of inspiration, encouragement, and support throughout my career, and that is my lovely wife, Angela. You heard earlier during the presentation that her name is now forever recorded in the annals of the National Infantry Association as a heroine of infantry, bearer of the shield of Sparta. Angela has truly been my shield as she protected me from distraction so that I could focus on my Army career, and helped to also keep me focused on what is truly important in life when the deadlines and priorities of work became all-consuming. Those here in uniform and retired know full well how critical it is to have a strong Army spouse to be yourself Army strong. With Angela's support, I was able to commit myself fully to work and career because she carried much of the load in her rucksack in order to allow me to do my very best in every task for the Army. She signed on with commitment from the beginning, has stuck it out to the end, and has been there at every step. Angela, everywhere the Army has sent us, you have made our quarters a home and ensured that I had a life outside of work. You've helped me to navigate the real world outside the Army as my link to family, friends, and normal life. Your service to Army families made a difference, and as evidence, I would like to share the remarks sent in reply to the invitation to today's ceremony from one of the former ROTC cadets at Missouri State University, who remarked that all the cadets remembered how fondly Angela treated them with loving kindness as I was putting them through their paces to make them successful officers. Angela, you truly deserve the commendations you received today for your service. You made possible every single accomplishment that I am proud of in my Army career. You have indeed been my heroine, a shield against doubt, a source of strength to carry on in the face of adversities, Those medals you now wear today are an acknowledgement of all that you helped me to achieve. This is a retirement for both of us. And as we chart our new course together, I look forward to wherever that leads us as long as we are together. I love you with all my heart. In closing, let me say once again how pleased I and my family are that all of you came here today to make this event special. The Army is composed of soldiers and their families, and we are pleased to have been part of and connected to all of you as a part of our Army family that you are here with us today. So to my comrades in arms, Army, Joint, Allied military, retired, veteran family, I bid you a final farewell with a salute. One team.